When you are finished drawing your contours of your portrait and labeling the values, you'll be ready to plan out your colors and create a value scale. Come up to me and show me your portrait so I can check your contours and your numbering. I will then give you your value scale. The first thing you need to do is decide what color you're going to use for the face. Choose a color that's going to complement the mood or expression that you're trying to communicate. For mine, I chose a tertiary color, a blue-violet. So notice that I started by mixing the color that I want to use for my hue. I can then use that blue-violet to create my tints and my shades. Next, I want to create my value for my number 1. If you look on the value scale, it says that your number 1 should be almost all the way white with just a little bit of the color in it. So I started with white and I added a very small amount of my blue-violet. Next, I'm going to mix my tint, my number 2 value. I want my number 2 value to be about halfway between my 1 and my 3. I don't want to make it too light because then I'll have not enough contrast between my 1 and my 2, and I don't want to make it too dark because then it'll be too close to 3. So you want to make sure that you are making a shade that is about in between your 1 and your 2. Next, I'll be ready to make my shade. So I'm going to use more of my blue-violet hue, the number 3 value, and I'm going to add a small amount of black to it to create my shade. Again, I want my shade to be darker than my hue, but I don't want it to be so dark that I'm not going to have enough contrast with my number 5 value, which is going to be black. Once I've got my shade painted in, the last value, black, is just going to be painted straight from the cup that has my black in it. Once you're done with your value scale, you want to figure out what color you want to do for your background. For my background, I'm choosing to do it with a tint, a pink color. So I'm going to be mixing red and white to create a background color. You can choose whatever color you want, just try to choose a color that is going to be contrasting, or again, maybe it's going to be analogous, maybe it's even going to be a neutral color, something that's going to help communicate your message. Once you're done with your value scale, again, bring that up to me and then I will check it to make sure you have the right amount of contrast. And then I'm going to give you some extra mixing cups so that you can mix larger portions of paint so that you'll have enough paint to create all of your values on your portrait. That way you won't have to keep remixing. So I'm going to start by using my blue paint because I can mix my hue into that. So I started with my blue and I added some red until it matched what I had planned out on my value scale. Then I'm going to use some of my extra white and I'm going to pour that into an extra cup to make my number 2 value. I'll then pour some of my number 3 value into that too to make enough. You want to make sure that you are mixing enough paint that you'll have enough to last for your entire portrait. So if you need to go get extra paint from the counter, feel free to do that. You should have enough paint mixed in each cup that it's filling about 1/3 of the cup. Notice how I am matching my colors or my values to the values that I had planned out on my value scale. Next, I'm going to use my white paint cup and I'm going to add some of my number 2 value to that until I get it to match my number 1 value. Once I have my 1, my 2, and my 3 mixed, I'm going to use some of that 3, scoop it into another empty cup, and then I'm going to add a small amount of black to that until it matches the shade that I had planned out on my value scale. Once that's matched, I now have my cups filled with enough paint to paint my entire portrait. The last thing I need to do is make my background color. Because I'm going to be doing pink for my background color, I'm going to use my cup that already has red paint in it, and I'm just going to add some white to it until it matches the hue. Notice that the white, I had already used my white cup, so I had to grab an extra bottle of white paint in the back to add the white to my red to make it match. Once you're done with that, you're going to put lids on all of your cups, save them in your Ziploc bag, and you're ready to paint your portrait.